And fire.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Blurring the Lines podcast, episode number 247 with the newly revamped intro officially. Thank you. Glad that we got things in order. I am your host, Peter Nikolaidis, and joining me as always is my co-host, Adam Bell.
Hey, Peter. I don't want people to think that we, have it together, though.
I mean, we somewhat got it together. It's partially together. I do want people to think we have it together.
Yeah. I would like this illusion.
Imagine a time where we have it together. Man.
I'm doing well. It's warmer here than it was,
Yep.
which is nice. It's still cold, but it's still, we got a lot of ice in our area recently.
We got a lot of snow in our area recently. It started for real right before I left for Berlin, and then kept on going apparently. So my friends and colleagues were messaging me asking, are you going someplace warmer? And I was like, technically, yes.
Kinda.
Which is interesting because as I apparently am wont to do these days, I went to Berlin and I was there for a week celebrating a few different things. And Berlin recorded their coldest winter in 16 years.
Oh, wow.
And despite that, it was warmer there every single day than it was here. And don't even get me started on Vermont. So, that said, I just got alerts that a snow emergency goes into effect tonight, and we have 2 winter storm warnings for February 7th and February 8th at the time of this recording.
Yay.
So it looks like we got more snow coming in this weekend. Yay.
Well, at least it's where it's supposed to be. I mean, it's not supposed to be down here in Tennessee. It's supposed to be up with you guys.
Yep. I mean, I wish I could take it as a good sign. Like, yeah, this is what's, winter's supposed to be like, right? So, oh man.
Yeah.
So it's been a few weeks since we recorded, right?
Yeah, it is. It has been.
My travel schedule affected it, and you had something else going on. I forget what. But
yeah, I think
was it all me this time? I don't know. Yeah. I'll own it. If it's just me, just tell me. I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, you were traveling one day, and it wasn't gonna work out. But I think I had work or something.
Yeah, these things happen.
So,
we got some things to talk about. Where do you want to begin?
So, I mean, talking about the winter. So we did get the ice storm, and we got more than 1/4 of an inch, I think less than 1/2 an inch of ice accumulating on the trees. So lots of trees down. Trees were exploding because it was just that cold here, and lots of lines down. I think over 500,000 people without power for days. And so we got those back, but my house, I never lost power. I never lost power or internet at the house in my house in Hendersonville, and I was grateful for. But my farm lost power, and I had it set up to protect my pipes from bursting if my heat was allowed to stay on. But since the heat did not stay on, my pipes burst, and now I get to redo the bathroom again. But I thought about doing it before, and I did not do it, but I am doing it now, where I can either blow or vacuum all the water out of the line when I leave during the winter times. So that, because the pipe, I actually drain the water when I leave. Like I've got a pump, like a well pump in a tank. So I unplug the breaker, and then I drain all the pressure out of the line, either with my outside line or with just the sinks inside. But there's still that gravity, the pressure in the line, by the toilets, by the, it's just sitting there, and that's what freezes.
Makes me, I was thinking, well, if I guess I don't need to look into that then, because if it's still going to have enough water to freeze in the pipes, then why bother?
Yeah, well, that's where, so I put in 2 stub outs at, you know, it not exactly the lowest point where my water is, because I couldn't get to the lowest point reasonably. But so I put in 2 stub outs where I can open the water and valve, and then I can take a shot back and then open the valve at the top, open the valve at the bottom, and then suck the water out. You know, the alternative is to blow it out, but I really don't want to just blow that water out into my bathroom. So,
so I mean, you blow it out into the bathroom, into a drain in the bathroom, and then.
Well, I could do that, but
again, right?
yeah, but there was no real great way to do that. So like my dehumidifier, I have my dehumidifier capture the water into one of those little portable pumps, and it pumps it into the toilet so that it goes down the drain, but I couldn't do that.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I luckily haven't had knock on wood, have not had any pipes issues for a while, but back at my place in Vermont, before it was my place in Vermont, my dad did have some pipes freeze. So I do have a little temperature sensor sitting there where that was. And so hopefully that won't happen again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got all the sensors, and of course now I can monitor that remotely. And so it's, you know, it's good to have that peace of mind as long as the power and the internet continue to work up there.
Yeah. That was the dilemma. My power went out, and, you know, fortunately where my farm is, the big front, it was the area that was supposed to get the most ice accumulation. And on paper, or on radar, not on paper, on radar, it looked like it. So it actually got a lot of sleet, and it got a lot of snow, and it did get ice, but the accumulation wasn't as bad. So our power lines didn't go down all over the place. They did go down somewhere because my power went out. But it was really a good thing, because where my farm is, it's it's very rural, so there's not a lot of motivation to get those things repaired, because it's not a high density of people that are down, and it's a very poor county. So they don't have a lot of money to spend on, you know, road works. So anything that comes in is going to be like through our TDOT or our state, but it's not going to come from our county.
Got it. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
So, but we're all back up and running. Of course, I was angry. I mean, I went through the stages of grief, you know, because I've already redone that bathroom once. Like, well, actually, this will be, so I did it. I did the bathroom once, got it like back to functioning, because it wasn't a very functional bathroom when I got the farm. And then those pipes burst, and then I made the bathroom nice and functional, and get to do it again.
Were there any lessons that you learned this time during the remodeling that you would want to fix and do over? Is this an opportunity?
Yes, it is an opportunity, because there were because I'm going to put in practically the same shower again.
Okay.
And I'm going to, well, I already mentioned I'm gonna put these air drains in so I can drain all the water out, so that I'll have no water in the line when I leave for the winters. So I'm gonna fix that, and I guess there'll be a little bit better craftsmanship on this shower, just because I will have known how to do it, and, you know, I'll have to do it better the second time. Because, well, I did have one little problem. So the shower design is not like a fiberglass shower. So it's a fiberglass floor pan, and then the walls come down into the floor pan. So the side walls are a fixed size, but then the long wall kind of overlaps, so you can build it for different sizes. And I had a little bit of a problem, and I had to pull one corner out and recaulk it, you know, during installation. And for whatever reason, some sort of contaminant on my finger, instead of the caulk being clear like it was supposed to be, like the whole rest of it was clear, but this section I redid, it was kind of yellowish, like there was something in the caulk that changed its color, and it looked looked a little like old, like it'd been there for 20 years instead of, a month.
30 days. Yeah. 20 days, right? Not 20
Yeah.
days. Yeah.
So I'll do some things like that that'll make it better the second time. But yeah, I could have been okay with not doing it, just being, my silicone's a different color, and I did have a little bit of a drain problem. I didn't get the drain 100% flat, so there was a little bit of drain, but I used silicone and fixed that. So I'll do those things right the second time around.
All right. Well, lessons learned, right? I mean,
Yeah.
meanwhile, I met with my contractor back in Vermont. I think it was like around, it was the week of Christmas. It might have been Boxing Day, the day after, and he was hoping to get started again next week.
Mm-hmm.
And again, at the time of recording this, it's February, and he has not started doing that. Sorry, I'm getting a call. I need to on a call. Okay, sorry about that. My do not disturb is not disturbing or something. But anyway, so there we go. Yeah, so nothing has happened in Vermont, but I have stayed up there a couple of times. I don't remember we talked about. I know I've talked at length about the water problems that I had. And the last time when I was there, when my contractor was there, he suspected that the reason that I was having trouble with water pressure periodically was the filter is getting all gummed up. And the suggested solution was, or he suspected that what happens is sediment clogs it, and when there's no water moving through for a few weeks or whatever, it just gets clogged up.
Right.
And he said, yeah, it'd be really great if you could just like flush a toilet once a week or something like that. And I was like, well, I've got a smart connected dishwasher. So now what I do is every day or two, I just run the rinse cycle. So far it seems to work. So
what type of filter system do you have?
I don't really know exactly. It's not.
What does it look like?
Looks like a little bottle. The filter itself looks like a bottle that goes into a pipe. And the thing that was concerning to me was it's after the pressure tank that, so there's like the pressure tank and then there's the filter. And then there was some glass piping that you could see the water coming out of the filter, and it was full of sand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, isn't that what the filter is supposed to be catching? I was like, So the problem is there's all that sediment and junk getting through the filter apparently. So I don't really know how to describe it. That's something I guess I need to like understand more about that, because that's one of the mechanical systems I have zero knowledge of. So yeah, I don't really know anything about that filtering system other than it has not been working, but lately seems to be, for the last month and a half, it seems to be working better now that I run the water periodically.
Yeah. Well, so mine, at the farm, I've got one, and so mine, I would describe it as bigger than what you described it. So it is probably 14 inches tall, and it's clear. I mean, it's clear plastic, and it's probably, I can get my fingers all the way around it. So probably 6 or 7 inches in diameter. And then there's a filter element that sits in the middle. And so this is on my intake. So straight from my pump from the ground, it comes through this, and it comes in, and then, or it comes on the outside and then gets sucked in. So I've got silt. I don't have sand. I've got clay silt in my well, and it captures that. Now I have to change that filter really about every 90 days, if not sooner. It depends on how much trafficking how much, that's not the wrong word. I mean, that means how much time I spend at the farm. So like if I spend 2 weeks in a row at the farm, I really need to change that filter by the end of it, because I start to see a pressure lag. But I think that it sounds like, I mean, your plumber probably knows the volume that you use and probably should have suggested something bigger. But
yeah, well, so again, my plumber slash my contractor is my jack of all trades handyman guy.
Mhm.
I don't know that. Yeah, I mean, this system is old, right? This is at
Mhm.
least 30, 40, maybe 50 years old at this
Oh
point.
yeah.
You know? So we're just basically overhauling little bits. But I've been telling him, if we're going to replace something, let's just do it right. Let's not just
Mhm.
do everything little piecemeal and stuff, because
Mhm.
it's just like, oh, just bite the bullet and do it right. Right.
Yeah.
So it's going to hurt up front, and then I won't think about it for hopefully another decade or more. So
Yeah. I wish I could do I don't want to do it, is just tear all the plumbing out that I have in the house, because it has been done in projects by different people, and I would myself included, I'd just like to tear it all out and do it
Mhm.
fresh, but I'm not going to.
Yep.
That'd take a lot of money too, because you don't just, I mean, the plumbing's in the walls, so I got to clear the walls and the cabinets, and I'm not going to do that.
Yep. Yep. All right. So we've talked about plumbing and home improvement.
Hmm. So what were you doing in Berlin?
Couple things. Number one, I was celebrating a birthday.
Hmm.
Finished another trip around the sun for me.
Yeah.
And
You
also,
survived.
I
Yeah.
survived. I made it. Whew. I didn't even have my seatbelt on this time either. And the other thing was that I'm seeing a lady who is a fashion model,
Hmm.
and it was Berlin Fashion Week. Just happened
Hmm.
to coincide with my birthday. So I was like,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? Sounds like a good reason to go back to Berlin. So we did. And I was just hanging out. She got a runway gig and three photo shoots while we were
Hmm.
there. So I was like, all right, sounds like a win. The weather was cold, as I mentioned, but
Hmm.
but still warmer than it was here. So when my work colleagues asked, "Are you going someplace warm?" I'm like, "Yeah, technically." So
Warmer. Well, so
warmer. Yeah.
I've got questions then, because you told me about some of the process of it, of her getting to work,
Yep.
and it sounded um not fun. I mean, and not for the faint of heart, and
Yeah.
probably not easy to break into.
Yeah. Well, on that note, it's kind of funny you mentioned that, though. I'm going to cover the breaking into part first, because had I had a little comp card with me, think of like it's half of an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper,
Hmm.
like made into like maybe a glossy or like a big business card with some photos.
Yeah.
I have a feeling I probably could have gotten a runway gig that night.
Oh.
Because apparently there's a huge lack of guys,
Uh-huh.
male models. And this particular this particular show was focused on like alternative fashions. And they said they made a big point in wanting to feature, diverse models, different looks, different body types, etc.
Hmm.
And every guy there who was there, I'm sure, was in their like maybe late 20s tops.
Uh-huh.
So I definitely would have presented an alternative look. But
Yeah.
also, these guys had no presence, like whatsoever.
Oh, really?
Like, don't get me wrong, most of them were pretty good-looking guys, right? I
Hmm.
wouldn't mind if the way I judge as a heterosexual male is I look and I was like, if I looked like them, would I complain? No, I would not. Yeah. But just no presence. They just looked like I don't know, like boring. That was what I took away. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I could strike a pose and get a little more attention there. So
Well, you're in good shape for a 50-year-old man.
thank you. Or for a 40-year-old, I've been told.
Yeah.
So but that said, the process is, whoever is organizing this event posts it, and they say, this is the day, this is the venue, and they may give you some instructions as to what to wear or what to, some, but not a lot, right? It's pretty
Hmm.
much casting will be at 1 o'clock, and so you show up there, And they just said, okay, they register everybody. Okay, you're here. That's great. They ask you to do a quick little walk, drop your comp card, and walk back. And then they either pick you or they don't. And so, there were, the funny thing is the lady that I was with, she was the first one to be picked. So
nice.
they called her out, so they run everybody through and then they start just going down the list, and they called her first. And I was like, all right, she nailed it. And, but not everybody got picked. There were, they did pick a lot of folks. I will say that, so out of the folks that were there, a large number were selected, but not all. And then they said, yep, that's the thing. And so this is like 1 o'clock and the show was at 6 p.m.
Okay.
So it's like you show up, fingers crossed, and maybe you have a gig tonight at 6 o'clock. So that was what it was. And I mean, for her, of course, she flew to Berlin pretty much for this.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's a hell of a risk, So,
so do they like, I mean, depending on what they're going to wear, I would assume that they're like, well, we need to see, we're doing swimsuits or we're doing midriffs.
Yeah.
We kind of need to see.
No.
No.
Generally, most of the models were fairly form-fitting black. Not, I wouldn't say without exception, but in general, they're all wearing something fairly snug to show off their form. And that's about it. But then,
they didn't need to have they're like, well, yeah, I can see her abs through her shirt. So
right. Yeah. It wasn't quite like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was an interesting experience. And according to her, like, yep, that's how these all go and stuff. So now I know how that works. And I was just like, I don't know, next time you're going to one of these, I think maybe I'll make up a little comp card for myself.
I thought about it. I said, I actually thought that. I said, I wonder if they wrote Peter into, hey, we're looking for older sophisticates. We'd like you to. I mean,
I could have done it. I feel like I could have done it. So I think next time I will have some. I'll have some photos made up because, as it happens, I got dragged into one of her photo shoots.
Oh, really?
So so we went there and then we attended a conference on like trends in fashion today, and some of them, it was kind of like for a guy who's not really all that into fashion and stuff. I mean, I like to look like I'm dressed well when I go out, but that's about it. I actually thought that the talks were kind of interesting, especially around what they're now calling pre-loved clothing, secondhand, because that doesn't sound good, right? And hearing how like eBay has gotten this down to a science so that when you, they can turn a profit now on a used article of clothing for as little as 14 euros. So think somewhere around $15 to $20. I don't know what the exchange rate is today. I mean, depending on what our president has done, maybe that's $200 at this point, though. I don't know. But they, so like for shirts and things like that, they've got this whole process down. And they were talking in one of the talks about in identifying trackers, like putting like RFID trackers into clothing to tell how many times it's been upcycled or reused and resold and stuff. And I was just like, it's just really interesting, kind of like metrics that I would not really have considered before.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, that's kind of interesting stuff. So yeah, I liked it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that was that was not what I was expecting. It wasn't like Zoolander at all, was it?
It was not at all like Zoolander, although I've never seen the movie. So, so anyway, but we also did a little bit of shopping there. Let her lead on that charge. So I came back with a new Berlin fashion enhanced new leather jacket, a couple of sets of boots, etc., etc. And I learned that, it would have been cheaper for me to buy a whole new, it wouldn't have been cheaper to buy a whole new luggage set, but it would have been close. I paid an extra 100 with taxes, 160 euros, because one of our checked bag was about 7 pounds overweight. So for that, I probably could have bought a small little carry-on and
Yeah.
just like, here, take this, you know.
Mhm.
Well, it was kind of disappointing, but
Yeah.
anyway, I learned the lesson the hard way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess, I mean, how long were you there? Just
Just a week. Yeah, it was a short trip.
That must have been her bag, not your bag. Or did you guys try to carry one together?
It was ours. Yeah, we each had carry-ons and one giant checked bag. But
oh yeah,
there's a downside to one giant checked bag.
Yeah, that's a rookie move right there.
Yep. I learned the hard way.
Yeah, no, my wife and I, we don't pack together. I mean, ever. I mean, it's funny. That's one of the things. I don't know I mean, and this is not you. I mean, no reflection on you guys doing that, but for me personally, I've never let my wife pick my clothes, pack my bag, because I feel like that's motherly, and that is not something that I find attractive.
I pack my own bags,
yeah.
But I do definitely let my let the lady give me fashion tips. So
yeah. Now I've gotten my own grief from not letting her have any say so in my fashion tips too.
Baseball cap and t-shirts, man.
No, I still like. I mean, I like to look nice. I don't want to look like a bum. So yeah. Well, cool. And, well, the other thing you did lots of running while you were in Berlin, which I was surprised at that. Not surprised. I was like, well, more like good job.
Yes. Yeah, no, I did fall short one day. One day it was just like we were out late the night before and I wasn't sleeping well. And so I was just like, I was supposed to go for like 70 minutes and I bailed after 35. And I felt terrible, but I'm like, no, I'm listening to my body. This is not just, this wasn't just psychological. You'll power through it. I felt like crap.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, no. And we had a long day ahead. So I was like, I'm going to conserve my energy, go back to the hotel, take a nap, and get ready for the party. Because one of the things we did, we went to an after party, which was at, I guess, I don't know, it was like a converted warehouse, which turned into like a nightclub. And it was really cold. It was like didn't feel like there was a ton of heat going on there. But no, it was a lot of fun. So yes, now it can be said officially I have gone clubbing in Berlin now. It took me 3 trips, but finally happened. So I'm like, okay, good. But yeah, it was just overall it was a good experience and it was fun, and I can't wait to go back. I really do like that town. So it was fun.
Cool. Yeah. I don't know. We're going to go to Poland, and I don't know if we'll get to Berlin or not.
Okay. It's not that far.
No, it's not. But I don't know if we will, because we'll only be there for a week. So we've got to coordinate. My daughter will be there in Krakow, which is it's not exactly by the border. So we'll visit with her, and then we'll also go on our own, but we wouldn't mind going to Germany. But because we're only there a week, we might not try to get everywhere we want to go.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, 1 week makes it tricky. Like when we were leaving originally, we were talking about going into we were originally going to fly into Amsterdam. And then from there we talked about staying in Amsterdam for a couple of nights and then going on to Berlin, but then we ended up picking a different flight, and it didn't make sense. So we ended up not doing that. Instead, we flew into Paris and then from there to Berlin. So, but yeah, like 1 week, there's probably enough in Krakow to keep you busy. So
Yeah. Well, and Auschwitz isn't far from there, and I'd like to
Yep.
I'd like to see that while we're there. Among among the other things in Krakow. So yeah.
Yep.
Well, cool. All right. Anything else on Germany before we change topics?
No, that was Germany this time around.
Yeah. All right. Well, so we went last weekend to see the status of my old truck restoration.
Yes. What's the latest?
So it is been completely disassembled, and it is coming from the ground up. So the essentially we're not renovating a truck. We're building a truck from the ground up and putting the old cab and frame or fenders back on it, because the frame is brand new. It's not even a refurbished. It is a brand new frame that was manufactured for trucks for restoration, rack and pinion steering. It's going to have a big 6.0 liter V8 in it engine.
Okay.
The old engine was a straight 6 230, 90 horsepower compared to 350 horsepower, depending on how they build it.
And the new body will be able to handle all this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
New, basically.
Yeah. So the old body, so they took the old cab off, and the cab really needed a lot of work, because the cab had work. Was built in 1955, so we're a long ways from 1955, and there is a lot of rework that has to be done, and cutting out metal, putting in new metal, and then putting it all together. He he approached us with, hey, I have another cab that I've already refurbed. I've already rebuilt it. We could just take that cab and put it on your truck right now. It's ready to go. Save about 50 hours of work.
Okay.
But we didn't do that, because if we were, that cab was the one that, this was Elizabeth's grandfather's truck.
Okay.
So the sentimentality of, no, I can't take a truck that wasn't even really the truck anymore. She's like, you kind of made it where, well, we could have just bought another 55 Chevy truck and not even bothered with this one. It's kind of the point of it, renovating the old one and making it new. So we ended up, we're going to get the cab fixed. That's going to add about 50 hours of work to it, but so it goes. The money is not all that much. It's just it kills the time. It adds about 10% to the project, but it's more about the time you lose of you don't get the truck that much sooner. But we'll have the original cab, we'll have the original, fenders, like the fenders, the hood, the rear fenders, but like the bed, we won't have the original bed. The old bed was too bent up, it was too warped and rusted and welded, and it just couldn't be done. And the thing was, it wasn't that bad. Like if you were okay with having a truck that didn't look perfect, but you can't have a perfect truck like all the way around and then the whole bed is gnarly, So had to put brand new stuff back there. Nice wooden bed. So it's going to be cool. I'll show you some pictures.
I was going to say, we should embed some photos into the album art for the podcast.
Yeah. So it's coming along. So we'll go back in another 30 days and see the progress. So that's one cool thing is, it's an hour away from here, so we can go check on the progress. And they really run a good shop, because if you imagine what a restoration shop is, I imagine going into, even if it's a clean garage, it's dirty. There's going to be dust from painting, sanding, working, just all these things. But they really keep the garage part separate from the presentation part. And so when we came to see it, the truck was all up in the presentation part. So it's rolled up there. There's no dust on it. There's no dirt on it. All the parts are laid out to be viewed. So it was really a really impressive presentation of everything as well. So he's done, I don't know, I think he said he's done 150 of these trucks,
Wow.
So it's not his first time going around with it. So it's nice to have all that experience working for us.
That is cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're already off to a better start than the first time around.
Yeah. Yeah. The key thing I should have known before is that other project or the other guy, it wasn't expensive enough. And that should have been the red flag.
Hard to tell. I mean, sometimes when you're going, when you're sort of flying blind on something like this, like I had a painting job over at my rental last year because I was flipping it for the first time in like 5 years with new tenants and stuff. I had quotes come in for under $1,000 up to $6,000. And all things being equal, I made sure that I was comparing apples to apples. In the end, I went with the cheapest, did a great job. So I don't know. What are you going to do?
Yeah. So, all right. So I've got a question for you. So you have a new iPhone 17 now,
Pro.
And you've had Pro, and me as well, and mine is a Pro as well. And there is one of the settings that Apple recommends is only charging your phone to 80% to make the battery live longer rather than 100%. What are your thoughts on that?
I do that. I generally keep it set to go to only 80%, except on days when I know I'm going to be out and about traveling for a long time, e.g. an international flight to Berlin or back.
Yeah.
So in general, I do that. And I also have a couple of portable charging batteries with, MagSafe capability.
Yeah.
And one of them has, I forget what the wattages are on all of them. I think one is like 5,400 milliamp hours. And the other is like 16,000 or so. So one of them is like triple the other, and it's also triple the physical size of the other.
Yeah.
So generally what I do is when I'm out and about, I might charge it up to 100% the night before. And either way, if I don't, I generally have a battery pack with me. And I wait until it gets pretty low, until it gets to around 20% or so, and then I'll slap the battery pack onto that. You get more bang for your buck if a battery is depleted, charging it back up. And I did that a few times when I was out and about, and it worked out great. And it's interesting, fun fact, you mentioned that, because she's still rocking an iPhone 14.
Yeah.
Did you know that the form factor of an iPhone 14 and an iPhone 16 Pro are almost exactly identical?
I didn't know that, but that makes sense. But yeah.
Well, but the 14 Pro and the 16 Pro were not the same. They were different, because when I got the 16, it was just different enough that I had to throw away the cases that I had for the 14 Pro. So recently I traded in, I didn't actually trade. Verizon just gave me like a $800 or whatever credit just for upgrading to an iPhone 17 Pro. They let me keep the old one, which I promptly turned around and sold back to, to Apple for trade-in credit, which left me with a nice leather iPhone 16 Pro case. I listed it on eBay, didn't get any takers. I was like, all right, well, whatever. I'm not going to bother with it again this time. And we got back from our trip. Now, the thing is, the difference back in the 14 era, one of the differentiators between Pro and regular was MagSafe. The 14 plane does not have MagSafe support.
Right.
So I could give her one of those battery packs, but she had to hold it in place, right? Or you have to
Yeah.
set it down because it is magnetic, right? But it's
Mhm.
not sticky enough to even hold them together. So you have to like sit it down, and then you pick it up to look at your email, and you forget and put it back, and
Mhm.
you know her battery's dead. So I just happened to be looking at it. I had the thing, and I was like, "Huh, I wonder." And I put it in, and sure enough, the thing fits. The only thing was that the 16 Pro had for the ringer switch, it's a push
Mhm.
button,
Yeah,
whereas back on the 14, it was a rocker switch.
right.
Well, as it happens, the little cover for that little switch on the case, I was able to just take a little like a little pen and just punch it out. So that
Yeah.
little piece of plastic opens up. So now you can reach in with your fingernail and toggle the rocker. And the only other thing is on the far side, the new camera control button is there. So
Mhm.
there's a little hole in the in the case on that
Right.
side. Big deal.
Yeah.
But as a result, I gave that to her, and now she has MagSafe charging,
There you go.
which makes my life a lot easier because you may recall that the iPhone 14 also had a lightning adapter.
Uh-huh.
I have moved on.
Yeah.
Other than my AirPods Pro 2, which
Mhm.
permanently live here on my desk,
Mhm.
I don't have any more lightning things. So I don't carry lightning cables around anymore.
Mhm.
So now I can charge her phone the way I charge my phone. If it, whatever happens, if she needs to use that, I can still plug into a USB-C cable into mine. So
Mhm.
life is better.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I charge mine to 100% because I tried it with the 80%, and I just it doesn't fit my personality. I mean, I, I need my phone when I leave in the morning to have
Yep.
a 100% potential charge.
Yep.
And what I also don't do is I don't charge my phone during the day. I mean, so I let it because I understand. I mean, I don't want to kill my battery life by,
Yep.
constantly charging it everywhere. I get in my car, plug it up. No, I leave it run all day. And
Yep.
I usually end up, like right now, I'm at 87%.
Okay.
So I probably could do the 80, but my personality just won't let me do it.
So here's the question though. How often are you getting in a new phone these days?
About every year.
About every year you can get away with that, right?
Hmm.
And if you're just changing it, you're just trading it back in. Do you just trade it back to Apple, or is it a hand-me-down, or what do
I
you
trade,
would your
yeah, I trade down to one of my daughters or my
so you
wife.
give them a depleted battery and say best of luck?
But I said it for, but then they could do the 80% so that they'll get good life out of
But the damage has been done.
it. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, that's one of the things that I think about a lot is, I do that. Um, I do that. I take really good care of my equipment. And
Hmm.
then sometimes I don't realize the benefit of doing that because, for about a year, I could probably get away with charging the thing to 100% just fine
Hmm.
and, wouldn't really notice anything. And at the end, like, does it power on? Does it have any cracks? Yes, it powers on. No, it doesn't have a crack. Great. This is what we'll give you.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't care about it as much.
Hmm.
So. I mean, I do notice the difference. That extra 20% makes a noticeable difference in battery life
Hmm.
for sure. But most days it doesn't matter. Like if I'm at the office, I generally have a spare cable or, whatnot, so I can plug it into a laptop and charge from there.
Hmm.
But I do practice, what I call good battery hygiene.
Hmm.
And I do the same thing for my car, for my Kia. In
Hmm.
general, I generally have it charged to 50% when I'm around here and just, not leaving
Hmm.
the state. And when I go to Vermont in the summertime, I'll charge it up to 90% or even 80%.
Yeah.
And in the wintertime, then I will charge it to 100% because it
Hmm.
does make a difference. It gets pretty close. So,
Yeah. Well,
uh,
if I were talking about a car, I would approach that differently than a phone because I mean, my whole phone is $1,000. The the whole car and killing the batteries in your car, that's a much more expensive.
Yeah.
You don't want to just wipe through that. But the other thing is when I'm at my farm, I have no cellular. There's no cellular at all, but I do have Wi-Fi. So my phone at the farm, I don't sit under the Wi-Fi the whole time. So a lot of the times I'm traversing. I go out to the field, I'm doing whatever. I have no signal, then I come back. So my phone on a day at the farm will be like 40%. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's trying to find cellular desperately.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, I typically, as soon as I get there, throw it into airplane mode, but it's looking for Wi-Fi when I get out of range. So, yeah.
Yep. There you go.
So, all right. So you brought up, speaking of the farm, you said people smoke lavender.
Yeah. So, and when I first heard that, I was like, huh? But then I actually saw some in a bag, like a branded thing. You can buy lavender specifically for smoking. And I have seen this done. So as a lavender farmer, I wanted to know if you were aware of it, and it sounds like you're not.
No, I'm not aware of people actually smoking lavender, and I can't imagine why they would want to, but the roll dried lavender buds into herbal cigarettes or joints. Well, it doesn't contain any nicotine or THC.
Right.
And I knew that. But so the lavender is part of the mint family. So it is going to have some of the it's going to feel like you're smoking a mint or a menthol, because it's going to have that camphorous feel to it. Plus it'll smell nice. I don't
Burning lavender. I mean, I guess it smells kind of like burnt lavender, I suppose.
So it did, chat. I just did a quick thing on chat GBT, and it says lavender smoke can cause throat irritation, coughing, lung or airway irritation, allergic reactions, just like any other cigarette. But I would think that throat irritation would be in that camphor, that mint camphor that you're getting, because it is an irritant. A mint is an irritant.
Yep. Yeah, I honestly don't know anything about smoking other than secondhand. So I took one puff from a cigarette when I think I was 11 years old, and that was all I needed to say, what the bloody bleep is wrong with you, bleep?
So the chat GPT response was, bottom line, yes, it happens. No, it's not considered safe or beneficial. Oh, you went mute. You're completely mute now. Nope, nothing. I don't even hear you fiddling with the mic.
Somehow
there you are.
Somehow my default audio got set to be my speakers. I have no idea how that happened. So anyway, yeah, I mean, what I was saying though is, like, smoking isn't safe either, but people do it, right? So yeah, I don't know. So I did have an update on the health and fitness side of things. I, for a few weeks now, have been injecting myself with peptides.
Peptides, okay.
Peptides, and I've got to look them up.
I was gonna say, what's a peptide?
Peptides. What is a peptide? Well, it's an amino acid chain. I know that much. I've got to look up. I forget the numbers, but some of the most common ones are, I think I want to say BPC 157 and TB 500 peptides. Those are the popular ones. It is not covered by insurance. So I can't write this off. I can't claim this and have it prescribed and submit for reimbursement. But it is in professional sports considered a performance enhancing drug.
Okay.
That was the last bit of information that I needed to convince me that I wanted to give this a try. Right. Because, it's like, follow the money. If sports are banning this, probably has a noticeable effect. The only potential downfall side effect was they wanted to make sure that my risk for cancer was low, and especially given my genetic factors. But my last PSA has me well within the normal range, so wonderful.
Good.
So I got a prescription for this and a little vial. And most days I've learned, this was another achievement unlocked, I learned that I am capable of injecting myself with a needle. And I do it regularly. So it's generally, they say it takes about a month or two for people to start seeing the results. So I'm not really sure, but it's only been a few weeks. But for me, the right knee has been feeling better.
That's good.
What I notice, like in the mornings when I go to put my socks on, if I don't do it just right, I can feel some pain in my knee. There's just like the way that I torque it just right. And there are certain kneeling positions that I've not been able to do for several years, unless I like thickly pad it with a blanket, especially in yoga. There are some warm-ups that I do with my personal trainer that I have some trouble doing from time to time. So all of these things seem to be marginally better. I also did a couple of trail runs in Vermont before I headed to Berlin, and I noticed the day after that my left knee was acting up, not the one that's been being injected. Again, all of these, could be anecdotal, could be just a fluke, could be coincidence. So we got to give it some time.
Yeah.
But this morning I did a yoga class, and part of it I did, skandasana, like a ninja pose, where, one leg is extended way out and the other is, deeply bent, like in a squat. And I was able to go pretty deep with no discomfort on the right side.
Nice.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot for a few months. And so we'll see how that goes. Stay tuned for updates. But that also brings me to the next topic for my insurance plan for this year. I no longer have the option for an HSA because those were too expensive. So we've gone with a plan that offers an FSA. Which I actually had back in the day when I was at Mimecast. So, and as you know, an FSA is a use it or lose it type of thing. And you have to determine how much money you want to put into this thing ahead of time. And the thing that really stinks about it, though, too, is that amount. And in my case, I opted for the full boat, $3,400, because knowing my history, I'm going to need to spend it, right? And especially on these peptides doses, it's around $400 a month or so. So I was like, well, that's where my FSA can go towards, right? But the way it works is that $3,400 that I chose to put in is coming out in every paycheck spread across the year. Now, previous one I had, I thought I was able to take it all out in one shot at the beginning, but apparently it doesn't work like that. So I get to put in like $140 a paycheck or something like that. So I was like, great, so you really have to sort of like trickle it along, or you have to wait until the end of the year and bulk up then on a big thing. But I've been getting all these different things which are FSA eligible, including home saunas.
Oh yeah, did you get one?
No.
Oh.
But worst case scenario, if I've got a couple $1,000s lying around in the in the FSA at the end of the year, I can either buy a half a dozen pair of running shoes, a couple months supply of peptides, or home sauna.
Wow, very good. Well, I need to wrap up. I've got a meeting I've got to get to, which is
you do that, and we can talk about taxes and fun things like that in the next episode.
All right, let me add that to the list. Axes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So while you're at it, why don't you go ahead and take us out?
All right, dear listener, we thank you for spending some time with us today. We would like your feedback. If you'd like to discuss a particular topic, or you want to get more pictures of Peter's modeling, then you can drop us a line at www.blurringthelinespodcast.com. You can also find us on yogawithpeter.com, friendswithbrews.com, and you can find me at rrlavenderfarm.com. At that, we can hit the big red button.
BRB.
BRB.